Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Pyromancer here, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all having a wonderful day, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. And I've missed you guys. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you guys for coming and stopping by. If you're returning members, it's good to see you guys. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about, well, kind of a lot about Sylvanas and what I think could end up happening with her. But I basically went on stream about a week ago and had the discussion. I went on there to discuss talking points for the video, and ended up basically having the discussion with the stream chat, and it kind of came out how I wanted it to. So you guys are going to be seeing that discussion clipped down, obviously, because it was a couple hours long, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you think. If you're okay with videos of this style, if you enjoy it, I would certainly love to know. If you haven't already, like the video if you enjoy it, and please subscribe to my channel. It would really help me out, and I think you guys would like some of my content that I have coming up here in the future. So give it a shot. Without any further ado, guys, let's jump into it. Today, we're basically going to be coming up with some talking points for my next video, because I tried to record it a little bit ago, but it was just such an incoherent mess that it just fell apart. I didn't like it, and I deleted it. So in the upcoming raid, what do you believe the endgame cinematic will be? Sylvanas redemption or permadeath? So here's the thing. They said that the raid will end with a pivotal moment for Sylvanas. Pivotal. That's a good word. I like the word pivotal. Pivotal means a crucial importance in relation to the development or success of something. It's a pivotal moment. Do I think that we'll see Sylvanas die? Not permanently, no. I think that we will either see Sylvanas become something more, or see Sylvanas returned to what she was. Does that make sense? So leaning on the redemption arc, I think that they've made it evident that there's still something within Sylvanas. Let me put it this way. If Sylvanas is redeemed or restored, that's gonna be a big problem for Tyrande. I'll put it that way. It's gonna be a big problem for Tyrande, because that'll rob Tyrande of her vengeance. I think there's something that ties into this that I can't... Let me just say this. The Eye of Odyn is a very important thing. The Eye of the Jailer is a very, very important piece of information, because Odyn is the leader of a representation of a certain type of person. Does that make sense? Let's just say there's a reason why Sylvanas' efforts against Odyn in Aegir failed. There's a reason that possibility was left open. Do you get what I'm saying? How else can I say this? There's something about Sylvanas that a lot of people have either forgotten, never knew, but should know. And it's something that makes Sylvanas incredibly similar to the Valkyr that she saw when she was at Icecrown Citadel. Do you know what the similarity is? What does Sylvanas have in common with the Valkyr? Pat, exactly. All are warriors. In the Edge of Night short story, it's recognized that Sylvanas has the heart of a warrior. It also says that this is not something that she lost in death. Sylvanas is the same in death as she was in life. She has the heart of a warrior. Now there's something... Who goes to the Halls of Valor? What is the Halls of Valor reserved for? Worthy warriors? Yes. Yes. Glorious deaths in battle. Can you guys name a warrior who went out gloriously in battle? Varian. Who else had an honorable death? Like, who went out in the most honorable way they possibly could? Saurfang? Broxagar? Garrosh? Not Sylvanas? Really, you think so? You don't think so? You don't think Sylvanas died in like in a sense in an honorable death? What did Sylvanas die doing? When Sylvanas first died, she died protecting her people. Sylvanas may have even known there wasn't really a chance, but it was just to buy her people enough time. That's all it was. Isn't that really the definition of honor? Like, even in the face of inevitable defeat, you stand tall and proud and fight until the bitter end. Not for yourself, but for the people that you care about. Isn't that what Saurfang did? Yes, but that feels so undermined by like the tree burning. You're not, that's not the point. So again, I know I asked this and I know some of you answered. What is the point of Revendreth? Traditionally, to atone for bad things, to atone for sins. And if you're able to atone, what can happen? Actually, let me ask you this. If you cannot atone, what happens? You get sent to the Maw because you're irredeemable. So if you guys have paid any attention to the BlizzCon interviews and BlizzCon panels, Garrosh was brought up in the Bellular interview. Basically, what ends up being said is we have to consider the possibility that Garrosh was able to atone. I don't see Garrosh as the type of person to break, but I see him as the type of person to, in time, come to realize where he went wrong. But when you strip Garrosh down to the core of what he is, and you can overcome all of the bad things that made Garrosh choose poorly, what is Garrosh? Where does he come from? What is he at his core? A warrior. Now, I know that there's going to be people that would say, oh, well, then he'll go to Maldraxxus. But Maldraxxus is one of many places that you could go. We have to play with the possibility that Garrosh moved on to another afterlife, and that his atonement in Revendreth was successful. We have to consider that as a possibility. Do you guys know what happens when you're killed by Fel? Do you know what happens to your soul? Do we know what happened to Varian? Do you guys know? I don't know. I don't know. I have ideas, but I don't know. I don't know what happens to a soul. I don't know if Fel is fueled by the soul or by the anima accompanying the soul. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what Fel does to a soul. Therefore, are we able to say with certainty what happened to Varian Wrynn when he died? Do we know that? Do we have the answer to that? No. We can just guess. When Anduin visits the Broken Shore, and he picks up Charlemagne, and he has this, like, out-of-body vision with his father, how would you describe that vision? And what I mean is, physically, like, what was it like, if you were to describe it? That Anduin needs a pep talk? No. It was bright. Yeah. It was bright. It was very bright. There's an underlying theme that exists for warriors that is kind of overlooked because it's more often associated with other classes, if that makes sense. When you go into the halls of Valor, if you could think of a cosmic force that the halls of Valor reminds you of, or thematically matches with, you would think of it as the light. But the halls of Valor is unique in that it is especially for those who died valorous deaths, right? Valor, simply put, again, is great courage in the face of danger, specifically in battle. What I'm getting at, this all ties back to Sylvanas. Whatever Arthas, and subsequently really the jailer, did to Sylvanas had a profound effect on the emotions that Sylvanas feels, her outlook on life and death, and even though it really messed her up, Sylvanas remains at the core a general with a warrior's heart. And it's something that even Lorthamar is aware of. Lorthamar even says, I think this is back in Nazjatar, Lorthamar says, essentially paraphrasing, he hasn't forgotten who Sylvanas was and what Sylvanas did for her people and what she sought to protect them from. And that over time, many have lost sight of that. And many have lost an appreciation for that because of the actions which have followed. Lorthamar knows who Sylvanas really was. What I am getting at is there's a reason why we're going to get the Eye of Odyn in this new raid. And when they talk about a pivotal moment for Sylvanas' character, again, there's a reason for which Sylvanas' plans against Odyn and against Aegir failed. That storyline was left open for a reason. Do you get what I'm saying now? There's a reason why she didn't get Aegir. Did you guys know that in Norse mythology, there's an event called Ragnarok? Ragnarok is a series of events, including a great battle, foretold to lead to the death of a number of great figures, including Odin, Thor, Tyr, Freyr, Heimdall, and Loki. Natural disasters and the submersion of the world in water. After these events, the world will resurface anew and fertile. The surviving and returning gods will meet, and the world will be repopulated by 2 human survivors. Ragnarok has another name. When translated, Fate of the Gods, or Twilight of the Gods. And I believe it is during these events that Odin gathers the greatest warriors that are left and the remaining gods, and they all band together for this final battle for basically the end of the world. There's also a giant in Norse mythology named Surtur. If we look at the Marvel Universe version of him, let's just say he seems familiar. Like really familiar. You guys know that, based on my theories over a long span of time, that I don't see Sargeras as the bad guy. In fact, I see Sargeras as much of a representation of Valor as Odyn or Varian. Let's just say for a second, and this could be wrong, what if the whole Dreadlord thing with Kil'jaeden and the Lich King, what if that wasn't a plan of Sargeras's? What if that wasn't something like, you guys know that letter thing that we got from Revendreth that basically says, once a desire is understood, it can be exploited. And one of the things that it says in there, in addition to that, is the Titans, so seemingly united in purpose, are vulnerable to fracturing. Show them something that opposes their order, and they will be consumed by their urge to eradicate it. Alluding to the Dreadlords maybe manipulating the Titans. Let's say, if we look at Sargeras in this light, as Chronicle states, is literally the greatest warrior in the universe, with this idea of valor attached to it. Great courage. He fights all the other Titans. Let me put it this way. Does the Scourge invasion, does that seem like something Sargeras would do? Does that really fit with anything else that they've done? Does that seem like a Sargeras move? You know, when you think about it, the Lich King kind of fucked the Legion over, didn't he? It really was like a big fuck up. It did not pan out. Whose idea do you think that really was? And I don't mean the jailer. Who really orchestrated that? Kil'jaeden. That was a Kil'jaeden thing. And as we know, Kil'jaeden seeks one thing. Two things if you think about Velen, but what does Kil'jaeden really want? Vengeance is what I think of when I think of Kil'jaeden. But more primarily, even before the Legion thing, he wants power. That's really what it came down to. He wanted power. And Kil'jaeden wanted power so much that he believed that he could take the Legion from Sargeras. Do you guys remember when he came out of the Sunwell and says, I will do what Sargeras could not, and I will assume my position as supreme leader of the Burning Legion? Even in his moments of defeat, Kil'jaeden admits he was envious of Velen's vision. Do you know why? Because it was power. A power that Kil'jaeden didn't have. Something that made, in a sense, Velen better than Kil'jaeden. Kil'jaeden is one of the single biggest fuck-ups of the entire campaign of the Legion. And don't you think the Scourge, even more than the Legion, the Scourge and the Plague is probably one of the most dishonorable, unvalorous way to wage war. Don't you think? You poison the food and water supplies, and then they turn into mindless abominations. That's not, to me, that's not a Sargeras plot. That's not a Sargeras plan of action. The plan of action is to brute force it. We will send legions of demons unto you, and we will fight toe-to-toe on the battlefield, and that's what we'll do. The only ones who really worked in the shadows to manipulate outside of the main campaigns of the Legion were who? Who were the ones who really sat behind the curtain and really did some of the most fucked up things the Legion has ever done? The Dreadlords. What I'm getting at is this. Who gave Odyn his powers in World of Warcraft? Where does Odyn get his power from? Wasn't it Aman'Thul? Yes, it was Aman'Thul. Is there anything about Odyn that says like, oh yeah, Aman'Thul? The beard? Do you know how he allegedly got that beard? Odyn didn't have it originally. Did you guys know that? Stood too close to a fire. Chronicle says that it was in a great battle against Ragnaros that Odyn was gravely wounded, and the beard is a wound. The beard is where he was wounded. So his beard is made of his what? Blood. Odyn bleeds what then? Fire. And if you were to give Odyn a class, what is he? What does the Halls of Valor represent? What is it made home to? Warriors. Is Aman'Thul a warrior? Does he embody a warrior? Is there anything about him that would make sense? Who does Odyn really fit with? Because it's not Aman'Thul. Do you know why Sargeras ended up not being a part of the Pantheon? The reason why Sargeras left the Pantheon is not because they kicked him out of the Pantheon. And it's not because Sargeras was threatening them or anything. Sargeras was put in a situation where he felt that he needed to act. And so Sargeras cleaved this world in two because of what the Nathrezim told him. So he goes back to the Titans and he explains it. He gives his piece. But what did he get in a response to that? How did they react? They banished him? No. No, they didn't. The Titan Pantheon did not banish Sargeras. That's not true. The Titans basically said, there's another way. You didn't have to do that. We could have fixed it. But they didn't know anything about it. But we can fix it, though. So Sargeras, in frustration, because the others could not see what he saw. They could not understand his perspective. They disagreed. And Sargeras was, no pun intended, hot-headed. Sargeras was resolute and determined. And he had conviction in what he believed. So he decided to separate himself from the Titans and go do his own thing. Does that not sound familiar? Who else has done that? Odyn. Odyn did the exact same thing. The Titan Keepers wanted to bestow their power upon the dragons and create the dragon aspects. What crucial event does the existence of the dragon aspects allow to happen? Them existing enables an event, end times otherwise known as... The dragon aspect's existence opens up the possibility for the hour of twilight, the twilight of the gods, the great battle of Ragnarok. So now maybe you start to see where we're going with this. Do you know what Odyn is the god of in Norse mythology? It's wisdom. Now Odyn's kind of a dickhead, but Odyn's also pretty smart. Because Odyn in World of Warcraft did not agree with what the others were doing. They didn't see his perspective. They didn't get it. The other keepers. And he was the leader of them. What did Odyn do in World of Warcraft? He did the exact same thing that Sargeras did. He separated himself from the others, said, if this is the route that you're going to follow, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm out. And now you start to see more of the parallels that exist between Sargeras and Odyn. Not only is it that, but the fact that they both have flaming beards, are warriors, represent valor. Let's go to the Eternal Ones, where they jailed the jailer. They jailed Zoval within the Maw. If you want to imprison someone in a place that they could never escape, besides the holding cell and mechanism itself, what do you put in a prison that's never supposed to be escaped? Nothing. You put nothing. You give them nothing that they could use to get out. Let me ask you this. How do they have forges in Torghast? How do they have the cauldron in the Maw? The Primus? I'm not so sure about that. What does Odyn bleed? Okay, let me ask you this. When you get higher up in the Eye of the Jailer tiers, what does the Eye of the Jailer start throwing at you?
I fucking love you, Pyro. I cannot wait for your
Thank you,
Odyn
Abraham.
video.
Thank you for the
Justice
tier
for
3
Helena.
sub. That's fucking huge. What does it start throwing at you? You guys have surely spent enough time in the Maw. Come, you guys are fireballs. By the time that we get to the Eye of Odyn in the new raid, what do you think it's going to look like? It's probably going to be on fire. The jailer can only forge because he has the Eye of Odyn, which bleeds magma. Odin's eye is the reason, I think, why they have fire in the Maw. And we know that the jailer's eye, because it's hinted by Muffinus in the BlizzCon announcement, that it's the Eye of Odyn. But if the Eye of Odyn is present within the raid, and there is this pivotal moment coming up for Sylvanas that we don't know what it's going to mean, but we're kind of feeling that redemption arc kind of slowly coming in, there is a reason why Sylvanas' efforts to take out Odyn and Aegir failed. There's a reason they left that storyline open. And there's a reason why the jailer wanted her to do it. Because what is Sylvanas at her core? Ranger General Sylvanas. Just like Garrosh, just like Varian, she has the heart of a warrior. If I had to take a shot in the dark at how Sylvanas will get her redemption arc, it has something to do with Odyn and probably something to do with Aegir and something to do with fire, which would potentially, based on the idea of a transformation, that would make Sylvanas' character a whole hell of a lot like Sarah Kerrigan, wouldn't it? With her multiple transformations and dark path and ultimate redemption to end up stopping Amon as she ascends to become Xel'Naga. If I had to guess, Sylvanas becomes, well, we're talking about Odyn here. We're talking about the Halls of Valor. We're talking about potential ascension. And like I said, there's a reason Aegir wasn't taken out of the storyline. What do you think Sylvanas becomes? I would wager, if I had to take a guess, wouldn't it be so fitting? She's like them. She has the heart of a warrior. She wanted their power to save her people, and she has a deep understanding of life and death. Sylvanas Windrunner is the perfect potential Valkyr. I think we'll see her become something even more. You can already see it happening in the cinematics. We're trying to stop the jailer, and we're going to start seeing Sylvanas turn toward that. Let me tell you something. The grip of despair is quite potent. But there's one thing that can, especially in fantasy, that can pull you out of that. And they've been talking about it in the cinematics. It's hope. If there were one person who could get Sylvanas to embrace hope again, who is that? There's only one character who could do it. And they've set it up over such a long period of time. It's Anduin. Anduin is a shining paragon of hope. Anduin is the example. Anduin he's a beacon of hope. He still is. Because Anduin's not gone. People saying Anduin's a Death Knight, Anduin's a new Lich King, Anduin's this, Anduin's that. Anduin's possessed. He's not gone. He's not lost. Anduin isn't the Lich King. Anduin's not Arthas Menethil. There's a reason why Anduin says to her, "You're giving me the choice you never had. Because if you can get me to let go of hope, then maybe you can let go." And how does Sylvanas react to that? Don't. She knows. If anyone taught Sylvanas a lesson about hope, who really started to prove it to her? This is why the storyline that they've set up is so beautiful. Because Saurfang,
you cannot kill hope. You tried at Teldrassil. You failed. You sent us to kill each other at Lordaeron. You failed. Hope remains.
Dalaran Summermoon, you can kill us, but you cannot kill hope. You can't destroy it. You can only give it up. This is what I said in my video about hope months ago when I said hope was one of the most powerful forces in World of Warcraft. It's not something people can take away from you. It's not something that can be killed, that can be destroyed. It has to be given up. That's why Anduin says to Sylvanas what he does. Because Sylvanas still hasn't given it up. There's still something deep, deep down within her, deep at the core of her being, where hope exists. And as Kalia Menethil says, someone once told me that hope is what you have when all other things have failed you. Where hope exists, you make room for healing, for all things that are possible, and some that are not. Like I said, if there ever was one person who could bring the hope back out of Sylvanas, it's Anduin. And we're seeing that unfold in the cinematics. In her face. You can see it. She's trying so hard. I've not come this far to falter now. You sure about that? And she's starting to see that even someone as pure of heart as Anduin could be just made into a mindless tool for the jailer. Let me ask you this. What if the jailer and the Legion weren't working together? What if they weren't friends? And Kil'jaeden was the one who really, through the Dreadlords, orchestrated things with the jailer to fuck the Legion over. The reason I ask you this question is because if Sargeras was against the jailer, let's just play with this idea. I'm not saying that this is what's happening. It's just a potential that goes against what I've been saying for a while. So I want you to consider this possibility. If Odyn is a descendant of Sargeras, then what we know about the Ordering of Azeroth is potentially untrue. Regardless of that, if Sargeras wanted to stop the jailer, this might be one of his only chances left. Let's just play with that for a second. Because now he's stuck on the seat of the Pantheon with the Titans. Everything that he has put in place up to this point now has to fall in line. All of it. Because Sargeras can no longer do anything to change it. It has to be the events that he's set up that allow him to win. If what I'm saying is right about Odyn and Odin's Eye and the fire and Sylvanas' potential ascension, this might be the last opportunity for the greatest warriors to come together and stop what's going on. It might be the final attempt. How are we going to stop the jailer? At this point, I feel like we're approaching, like, if we're not there already, we're approaching the point of no return. He's continuing to win. Like, he just got the Archon. The Archon's key. There's been times in the Warcraft history where I'm like, we're fucked. Like, we're fucked. And there's always something that happens that lets us keep going. And it's not that we're paying a sub. Be more creative, please. There's always a hope. Right? It's always there. Do we want to stop the jailer, though? I want you to just play with the idea that maybe we do. Just consider that for a second. Maybe we do. Like, I know that it's easy to have the perception that the Shadowlands has something inherently wrong with it. But after what was done to the jailer, he may not be interested in reinstating what was formerly there. The jailer might be interested in going a little bit further than that this time. Because we don't even know exactly what the jailer did. There is, of course, the other possibility that Sargeras was working with the jailer. And we have this Odyn involvement and this Ire involvement in Sylvanas' potential ascension and redemption. And that we end up getting to a point where we all have to band together, not only with ourselves, but maybe even with the jailer, to fight something else that is coming. Something bigger than the jailer.